Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sam here, United People's TV. I hope that the software is still working properly. Today is the 66th anniversary of the Munich Air Disaster, and we're going to be speaking about that this morning as a community. I'm going to run through my dissertation, which I did. It's actually kind of the foundation of the reason why I launched United People's TV. I speak about this every single year. So today we're going to speak about the Busby Babes for the first 10 minutes of the show. You can fire in your comments, your questions. And it's really important to remember the past because Manchester United, as we know it, was shaped by what happened previously. And we're also going to speak about Lisandro Martinez, his injury confirmation that he is going to be out for 2 months. No, it's not an ACL. So yes, it could have been worse. But boy, oh boy, we'll speak about that. I'm going to speak about what else. We've got the latest on Manchester United's search for a sporting director. Jim Ratcliffe was in Manchester this week. We'll speak about that. We'll speak about David Gill's interview with Five and comments he made about Brailsford. Then we'll speak about Olise's injury. We'll speak about the upcoming game against Villa. And there's lots of other things to speak about. Let me see who's down here from the member gang. Let me see. Does that just switch to Facebook? I'm still trying to get my head around chat coming in 3 different places now. Who's on Facebook? I can't see anybody there from Facebook. We've got Stephen Lawrence. Good morning to you. Mark Fossey, Grant Stephen, Musa. Who's here from the member gang on YouTube? Let's have a look. Haley. By the way, yesterday was awesome, man. Nuruddin, you're a legend. Everybody's a legend. This community is fantastic. It really is. And yeah, I think it will show on days like today, but we can have this chat in a minute. Ferdinand Botha, good morning to you. Josh, I can see you there. We've got Sky Benjamin Ross. We've got Jonathan O'Driscoll. We've got Toby, William, Nino, Biker Boy. Plenty of you, plenty of regular faces. Let's get into the show. And as I said, there's only one place we're starting this show here today. And that is by having just a sort of community chat, really, about the Busby Babes, about Munich Air Disaster. Like, does everybody sort of kind of appreciate and understand like how important the Busby Babes really were and still are to Manchester United? Yes, as I said, the thing I always want to share today, I only share this once a year. I'm going to share the link down here in the comments, okay? This is the link to... Can I share the link? There it is. This is the link right there to my dissertation. And that's what I did at the end of university. I did a history degree. And for my dissertation, I decided to do I did a study on the social impact of the Munich Air Disaster, both in Manchester and in England, around Manchester too, and just how sort of widespread and significant it was. I remember going up to, I think I tried to get some interviews sorted, but I couldn't get anything. I remember reading Bobby Charlton's autobiography. I remember reading, I think it was Tom Clare's book, went up to Manchester, went to the museums. And I think it's just important on days like today, if you can get the chance, if you can get a little bit of time, you don't have to read my dissertation on it. But just if you don't know much about it, maybe you're a younger generation, you're a younger fan, read it. It's so important to the fabric of Manchester United. And the fact that somehow Sir Matt Busby, 10 years later, won the European Cup. And that Manchester United, of course, being in Belgrade, being on that plane was part of our European journey. And Matt Busby was kind of the pioneer of that. I'm going to go down here and read a few of your comments out. Dan saying the Netflix one's a good watch, make you realise. I'm not even sure I've seen them. Is it David Tennant? I think it's David Tennant. I'm not actually sure I've watched that one either. Lebo saying going to Old Trafford later to lay flowers. I taught my kids about the Babes before I taught them about Cantona. I think there's a quote I've sort of highlighted here on YouTube from Fergie saying it's something worth remembering because the origins of this football club as it is today goes down to that time. And it really does. Like modern day Manchester United. Well, I mean, your present is shaped by your past, right? So yeah, I was every single year, we should remember them. 66 years, man. It's a long old time ago, isn't it? Long old time ago. Thanks very much, Alex. And the link is in the Discord too. So you can go over there and give that a read if you so wish. Apparently, Tennant does a cracking job as Jimmy Murphy. Of course, Jimmy Murphy's now got a statue outside the Stretford End. And Jimmy Murphy was the manager, of course, who took Man United somehow. Doesn't make any sense, really. Took us to the FA Cup final in 1958. And we lost to Bolton. Was it Nat Lofthouse? I think I sometimes forget his name. Pretty sure we lost to Bolton in the final. But we reached the FA Cup final that year. But yeah, the Busby Babes. I was going to pull up the video that Manchester United released. But last time I did that, the video got shut down for copyright. So I don't think I'm going to do that this year, even though I'd like to pull that up on screen now. But I want to dive into, there's a couple of stories around United. Not really around United. There's a couple of stories I want to run through now before we start having a discussion about Lisandro Martinez's injury. And yeah, it's a bad one. It's pretty bad. This one here, right, is, ladies and gents, witness modern football. Go that way. Right there, you are looking at where football is going. Manchester City agreed deal to sign Savio from parent club Girona in the summer. But that doesn't tell you the full story. He's on loan to Girona from a club that City also own. I mean, there's nothing illegal about it at all. But what you're looking at here is the way that modern football clubs, the biggest of clubs, are going to be run. It's now a case where, look, football clubs have had feeder clubs for a long time. I remember when we had a partnership with, I think it was Royal Antwerp in Belgium, and we would always send our young players on loan there. What you're seeing here is, you've seen it with Chelsea, I think Strasbourg. Todd Boehly bought that club as well, or at least became majority owner, and then is able to sign players for that club that otherwise can't be signed for Chelsea at that point in time. So all these Girona, look, they're top of the bloody league. And City, with 13 clubs in their football group, are just going to sweep up all these smaller clubs, right? They're just going to sweep them up and make them all just proper feeders towards City. It's not about these smaller clubs having their own ambitions of winning things, of getting promoted. No, it's not that. Your existence now is to serve Man City. It's to serve the bigger club at the top. And that's the way that modern football is going. And I despise that multi-club model, but I'll be completely honest. I expect Manchester United to build one now under INEOS. I don't know whether Nice will come directly underneath it. I mean, you can't imagine it will. But there will be some United foot. That's what I would predict in the next few years. Some sort of United football group, a bigger not a bigger company, but something that's set up that has Manchester United at the top of it, and then we now start to buy other clubs. Jim, you're saying FIFA need to stop this practice. I think they've already explained. They've already said, well, can't really stop it, can we? Because I can't. I'd be very surprised if Manchester United didn't go down that path as well. Josh, you're calling it a consortium. I don't know what to call it. It's just, obviously, INEOS have got Nice, they've got Lausanne in Switzerland and France. So technically, they've already got it. I imagine it will get formed. Obviously, it will depend on the full takeover, which I would expect to happen, given how everything has happened at the start. But United, INEOS, Lausanne. Probably others get added into it. I don't know. I think it's a real shame, if I'm being completely honest. I would prefer that football wasn't going that way, but it has gone that way. Gamindy is saying, you share your birthday with the Munich Air Disaster. Well, happy birthday to you, my friend. DP is saying that they can't stop it now. The horse is bolted. That's what I think as well, man. Yeah, it's coming. That will be one of my predictions for the future. There will be some sort of united football group. And I don't know what it, I don't know who will be in it. I don't know who will be in it. I don't know what the name of it will be, but it will be some sort of multi-club model, and it will probably be the biggest in the world. That's what I would expect to happen, because that's just the way football's gone. Now, let's talk about this quickly. Olise. Olise obviously linked with a move to Manchester United in the summer, and his profile is somebody, like, he's just a very technically gifted footballer. He's comfortable playing in the middle. He's comfortable playing on the right. He's got a bit of versatility, and I think with the options that we've got with Garnacho and Ahmad, and, well, Anthony right now, but I think he should be sold on that right-hand side. And then you've got Bruno playing through the middle. No one else is really going to play there. We're not really playing a number 10 per se. You've got Rasmus up front. You've got Rashford on the left. We've got options. Now, it depends what happens with Rashford in the summer as well. I personally think, I think I've said this before, I personally can see Marcus Rashford and PSG. It feels like it's going to happen. Again, that's just a prediction. Because of Mbappe, of course, going to, I think, Real Madrid. Let's find out what happens there. Teresa, I can see that. Thank you so much, Teresa. Let me see down here. Is this still not showing up properly? Right now, I've got to have 3 different chat windows open. And all the chat is spread across these 3 different things, which makes it incredibly difficult to be able to read all of your comments and keep an eye on what's going on here. I'm trying to get it all condensed into one chat, which is what we had before. But right now, this ain't working. But Teresa, thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships there. It should have popped up and told me there, but it didn't. But legend. Well, wait for it. Does it work?
I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell.
Kind of need to move that a little bit, don't I? Kind of covers my face. Maybe I'll move that down to the bottom right. Won't cover me as much there. But Olise, right? He's now out for 2 months. Not Man City. Crystal Palace have handled his recovery from injury absolutely abysmally. Now, this is from a city. Jeez. This is from a Crystal Palace fan. And this is the sort of the widespread opinion on Hodgson bringing on Olise at the weekend when Palace were getting battered by Brighton already. He said, when Olise came on versus Brighton, my timeline was flooded with irate Palace fans questioning the decision. Down 3-0, game over, player coming on off an injury. Re-aggravated it during the week. There's going to be loads of people going, Olise. Can't sign him. Injury prone. Prior to this season, he hasn't had any injuries in his career. And he has been blighted by a hamstring injury. And look, United have done this with 2 separate players at our football club this season. Really poor medical rehab. 2 players that we've done that with are Lisandro Martinez and Tyrell Malacia. Lisandro should not have been allowed to play at the start of the season. Doesn't matter what he says. Physically, he wasn't 100% fit. Now, maybe that doesn't show up on tests, and maybe you do have to kind of trust what the player is saying. But Martinez had a reoccurrence, had to have the same surgery again. Tyrell Malacia, it's the 6th of February. And no one's really said a peep about him. Because he had, I believe, a knee injury going into the pre-season. And I think he, as far as I'm sure we'll find out in the goodness of time, but I'm pretty sure that Malacia then had to have further surgery on his knee. Because again, bad rehab. Just poor decisions from the medical department. And that right there, Olise coming on against Brighton when they're 3-0 down, it is game done. He'd come off a couple of days before. He's had hamstring problems the whole time. And now he's out for another 2 months. Like, if you play when you're not 100% and you don't let an injury heal, it is going to keep reoccurring. That is just a fact. And there's going to be a ton of people now that go, Olise, injury prone. You know what I'm seeing as well from people, which is properly making my head scratch. I'm like, what are you talking about? Some people are trying to say that Martinez is injury prone now. And it's like, I shouldn't really respond to just dumb ass comments. It's not even trolls. It's just ignorance. It's just inflammatory for the sake of being inflammatory. And I suppose in that sense, I've responded. But again, I always try to educate people as much as I possibly can. It's just, how can you possibly correlate Martinez having a metatarsal injury, which wasn't... A metatarsal injury is a bone breaking. That's an impact injury. To Martinez having Kufal sit on his knee. Both of them are impact freak accidents. Even more so this one. But we've got confirmation yesterday that Martinez is out for 2 months. And it's... I mean, what more could you say, man? What more can you say that you haven't already said? It's just... One second, I'm just closing this so I don't get distracted. That's better. Right, okay, I'll do that then. I can't believe that Martinez is going to be missing for 2 months. I'm laughing, but it's not even slightly funny. If he is indeed missing for 8 weeks, that's what Manchester United have said. So the good news is that it's not an ACL injury, right? It's an MCL injury, which is the inside of the knee, and it's a strain, not a tear, but still 8 weeks. And Ross, you're there trying to troll me, saying he's turning into Lisandro Martial. Again, if people love... Why you compare apples and oranges? Especially in this good... Like, what are you doing? I'm just going to ignore your comments then. If you don't want me to interact with you, you try and just say crap like that. It's not even slightly... It's not even in the same ballpark. But Martinez being injured, if he's out for 8 weeks, that means he misses these games, all right? Of course, he's missing the Villa game, the Luton game, and these are the games we've got between now and the 6th of April, right? Man United against Fulham. Man City away. He's definitely missing City away. Everton at home. Sheffield United at home. Brentford away. And look at these 3 games here. Brentford away. Chelsea away. Liverpool. They're the 3 games between the 30th of March and the 6th of April. It's going to be very, very hard to replace him. I'm going to read some of your comments out down here, see if anybody else is trolling me. And by the way, if I'll say this to anybody now, sarcasm is impossible to decipher when I've got 2,500 comments flying at me here. So if you try and throw that in, I'm going to take most comments at face value. All right? FYI. There are thousands of comments coming. So try and understand that. When I'm trying to lead a conversation here and trying to speak to so many different people at once, please understand that and work with me. All right? Otherwise, you're just going to take the conversation down a ridiculous path. Let me see what else you're saying down here. Martinez is so aggressive. That's why he gets injured. A dude sat on his leg. What's that got to do with him being injured? I'll tell you what. Take all the aggression out of Martinez's game. Then bring him back. So he can be 20% of the player that he is. prior to joining us, he missed 13 games in 3 seasons. No, Glenn, he's injury prone. Don't be saying that. Mainoo is saying he's probably going to miss a Liverpool game too. I think he probably will miss a Liverpool game. Reese is saying, Sam, do you think there's any chance with a new medical team that we can prevent situations like this? I don't think you can prevent impact injuries like that. I mean, you can't prevent impact injuries like that. It's just not possible. You just have to hope full well that they don't happen. But this is what Martinez said on, I think it was on Twitter. This was his message. He said, I want to give a heartfelt thanks for the great support I've received and to reassure you that I'll soon be back out there. I mean, he must be... You saw what sort of ran through his head when he was lying on the ground straight away. Like he was... In my mind, it sort of took me back to when Varane went off against Chelsea, I think it was. Went off in tears because he thought, World Cup's over. Oh, man, this is probably going to be the last World Cup I can play. And you saw how distraught he was. I think he ended up being fit for the World Cup, didn't he? Did he go? Can't remember. I think he did. But Martinez, at that moment in time, the first thing that went through his mind was my season is over. I've spent all season long fighting to get myself fit. I get myself fit. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready to play. And then that happens. That's why he was so upset. Oh, man, look at that. Hello. Who's that? One sec. Let me pull. I'm still trying to really figure out the best. It's because for some reason, gifted memberships don't, inside this activity feed on YouTube, it's just not popping up. So for me to be able to see that, I've got activity feed there, comments over there, gifted memberships over here. I'm trying to get it all in one window and it's just not working so far. Fizz, thank you so much, man. These buttons, I'm going to move my head out of the way now. Hoi!
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell.
Football. I will get that. I'll get that moved because it's definitely in the way when I'm on this screen here, which is probably the biggest screen we've got. Have I tried turning it off and on, the BT solution? Do you ever get that? Used to ring BT trying to get things fisted. Very different BT for getting fisted. And Ricky, thank you so much, dude, for gifting 5 memberships as well. And you're saying some post-traumatic body disorder. I remember when we signed Bayer from Villarreal, I thought this is a don. We finally signed a properly athletic centre-back. And I thought it was going to work, but alas, it did not. A couple of super chats there. Chris, thank you very much, dude. You're saying drop a like in the video, legend. Akash, thank you very much as well. You're saying the squad depth needs looking at in the summer. When left midfield, Casemiro, Mainoo come off, the drop is huge. The style of play changes dramatically. 1 second there. If I make that a little bit wider. Oh, that's nicer. That's a little bit better, I think. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the best setup. That looks good. That looks good. Mate, we need a massive bit of squad depth in the summer. It's why, look, his name's been linked. I think the links will only get stronger. But Jarrad Branthwaite from Everton really looks like he can play both left centre-back and right centre-back. Because you could, if you wanted to, you could just look at finding a... Oh, well, wrong button. You could just look at finding an alternative to Martinez, couldn't you? 1 second here. My God, this is so annoying. Go away. Go away. I'm very good at multitasking, but the multitasking has gone up to an absolute different level. Alex is saying Branthwaite won't be cheap. He won't be cheap. But you could just look at an alternative to Martinez being a direct alternative, somebody who's a left-footed centre-back, plays through the lines, and you could do that. But someone like Branthwaite may well give you an option but because let's be this is where it's going to be really difficult for United, all right? What we want is a brilliant alternative to Martinez in the summer. But truth be told, Martinez is our number one choice when he's fit. So how do United go about signing somebody who is quality enough to replace Martinez if he's not fit, but happy enough to not be the standout first choice at United? That right there is a very difficult signing to make. And of course, what we have to say now, and I'll say, hand on heart, Martinez coming back from a metatarsal injury, I was never in, not one part of me was worried about whether he would be his old self. Any sort of ligament strain, any sort of ligament damage, especially in the knee, that's where so much of your power goes through. They're the sorts of injuries which can have impacts on how players play when they come back. So we'll have this conversation towards, I suppose, the last month of the season. We'll get to see Martinez back in action. But that I'm more worried about that injury having a potential long-term impact compared to the metatarsal. Tim, you're saying, why didn't we get Kim? Well, I don't know. You answer that question, because I can't. Well, actually, I can. We didn't have the money. There you go. Simple. I wish we had the money to sign Kim. I really, really do. Why is that not popping up? Man, this is infuriating. It's right there. Should be working. Nope. No reason it's not. But it's not. You know what I read? I have been saying this to my partner, Susie, yesterday. I said, you know what this is like? This is like the digital equivalent of moving house. It's great once you moved, but moving house is crap. Everything that you had, everything was in the right place before. Everything is completely different. That's what this is. And I'm about 75% of the way there, but I'm still trying to refine things, and I find it frustrating. I find it very frustrating. But Martinez, that's not as frustrating as that. Martinez is out for 2 months. I don't think we can replace him. Truth be told, I'm going to do a short video on this tomorrow because there's options. You could put Luke Shaw as left centre-back and Manasseh as left-back when he's fit, or Delo there when he's fit. You could put Evans at left centre-back. You could put Varane at left centre-back. You could put Maguire at left centre-back. Varane at right centre-back. There's options. So I'm going to run through those in a video tomorrow. Now let's move on to the next conversation. And this is around a very important thing that should be happening this week. Right? Very important thing. Jim Ratcliffe and the INEOS confirmation. Confirmation that the 25% is finally done. This is something we've been waiting for some time, I think it's fair to say. 24th of December, the 25% takeover got confirmed. And they said it's likely to take somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. So we must be pretty much bang on 6 weeks now, I think. I'd say that's pretty much bang on 6 weeks. Now, Muppeteers have been pretty spot on with their information throughout this whole process. Fair play to James. He must have some pretty decent sources inside the club. Jim Ratcliffe was back in Manchester on Monday. And Jim Ratcliffe has been a real presence. He obviously was in Manchester but in March when the initial talks were happening with Manchester United. And he's been in Manchester, 3 weeks ago? He was in Manchester for like a full week, meeting fans, staff, press, players, Eric Ten Hag, fan representatives, the mayor of Manchester. He was meeting everybody. Now, Rob Nevin is somebody who works with INEOS, and I think Rob Nevin might be one of the board members. Carl, you're saying, will you go live when confirmation is released? Absolutely, I'll go live when confirmation is released. You know that. When big news like that breaks, I will go live. Now, Let's move on to... This is just something that I kind of... Enzo, nice to see you there joining as a squad member, dude. Legend. And look at that, your name's up there. Enzo. Great name, by the way, Enzo. It's cool as hell. I'm really enjoying the fact that there are no leaks around this. No leaks at all. And it's just something that we're not really used to. Is it? The Barada situation was perfect. No leaks whatsoever. Now, when it comes to the sporting director, David Ornstein was speaking on 5 last week, this week, quite recently. And he was speaking about Paul Mitchell. Now, I don't know whether I misinterpreted what he was saying, but he was saying that Paul Mitchell is completely distanced himself from the job. Yeah, Lee, you're just seeing it right there. Mitchell's not looking for a job. He's moved back to Manchester for family reasons. I don't know whether I interpreted that wrong, but I thought David Ornstein was talking about the sporting director role, of which Paul Mitchell was never really been linked. Paul Mitchell, when it comes to any sort of... I mean, he was linked with the sporting director role previously, and that was the role he held at Monaco. But I've only been sort of speaking about Mitchell when it comes to a head of recruitment role. I think Roma, Akash, you're saying it down there actually. Roma have been linked with a move for him as well. Is it Thiago Pinto, I think, has left them now? I don't know. Paul Mitchell, I've never been linking him with the sporting director role anyway. I've only been speaking about him from a head of recruitment perspective. But just like nobody knew that Omar Barada was going to become our CEO until David Ornstein dropped the bomber, it feels like the same thing is happening with our sporting director. And that INEOS are really quite good at keeping their information to themselves, which is what any business should be good at, right? And Top Death Angel, you've mentioned it there, and it's something I agree with. It feels like the longer this goes on, the less likely I think it could be Dan Ashworth. And I've done a deep dive on Dan Ashworth. People are going to be like, oh, Sam, what's a waste of time? None of these people are at the club. Huh. I was very, very proud of that Dan Ashworth video. Very proud of the Paul Mitchell videos. Even if they don't end up becoming members of United's new football operations, I'm very glad I did those videos. Because just because they didn't join doesn't mean that they weren't very, very good candidates. And it feels like Dan Ashworth, because he's in the Newcastle role, that's one that is slightly more complicated. We will have to serve out, a bit like Omar Barada, he'll have to serve out a gardening leave. There might even be a clause in his contract that bars him from working with a competitor, another club, for X amount of time. I think that's what Paul Mitchell had at Spurs. That's why he had to serve 16 months' notice before he went to Leipzig. So maybe it won't be Paul Mitchell. Maybe it won't be Dan Ashworth. Maybe it will be left field. And we're waiting for this now. And the good thing is that I would expect this to happen this week at some point. I would expect it to happen this week. We're going to get the official confirmation from Ratcliffe, and that's where I hope we can get. Listen, actually, it's not really a hope. We'll get an interview, not me personally, we'll get an interview with Ratcliffe. He'll sit down, he'll explain what INEOS want to achieve, what they're going to be doing in the short term, what the vision is in a year's or 3 years or 5 years' time. He won't be specifically speaking about how much he's going to pledge and invest into X and X, but he'll probably speak about the plans for Old Trafford. He'll probably speak about the plans for Carrington. And I hope that we can get that announced this week. And it's looking like we will. But in terms of who the sporting director is, I don't think Paul Mitchell, in my opinion, was ever linked with that sporting director role. But an interesting video that happened yesterday was this one. Quite a few of you are commenting on it down there. And I just want to run through the comments. So David Gill had an interview with Rio and Howson on the 5 channel. I'll leave the link to the 5 channel here. Right. Let me pop that down there. So that's a link to 5. If you want to, go over there. You can watch both parts. I've only watched part 1 of the interview. I haven't actually watched part 2. And David Gill was, in my opinion, understandably reserved. A man, he remember that David Gill might not work directly Manchester United anymore, but all the relationships are still there. He works directly with UEFA. He is somebody that still is in a position of power and direct influence in terms of UEFA, in terms of maybe not so much at Manchester United, but he's somebody who people lean on. And I want to run through what he said about Dave Brailsford, INEOS, and sort of his own experiences. He said, I don't know Dave Brailsford that much. I've met him a few times, but I know Jean-Claude Blanc. He was at Juve and PSG. He's an experienced executive in football and knows what works and what doesn't work. And I think that is a positive. And I've spoken about Jean-Claude Blanc, and I've already done that deep dive. And I don't think he's going to be spoken about that much. You know what? There's a video I want to do on Jean-Claude Blanc, and specifically looking at how he helped Juve build that new stadium. Because I think there's probably some more lessons we can learn from that. Because he's going to be, when Man United are looking at what we're going to be doing with a new stadium, he is a perfect person to be looking towards for advice because he's experienced it. I think Jean-Claude Blanc is going to be quite big in that sense. Brailsford has shown, albeit in a slightly different sport, that he's a winner. I think he will leave no stone unturned. And think, for example, what's happened with this appointment. If the minority investment has to get improved by the Premier League, but they're prepared to act quickly and they understand we have to win. You're not guarantee it. If you want to go and listen to it, I don't need to run through the whole interview, right? But David Gill shares the same optimism that I think a lot of us do about INEOS, about what's coming up next. Some of us, rightly so, have still got trepidation, but all the signs from Ratcliffe so far have been very positive, and it's not just been words. And I've covered all of this in detail. The natural pessimism in United fans, and then the Barada announcement caught us all by surprise in the right way. Let's just hope it continues with more changes that are coming. If I can quickly say now, ladies and gents, if you can just drop a like on the video, makes a big difference here with the community. I'm determined to get this chat working perfectly, properly. I want it all in one place, all in one window. That's what I had before, and it makes it far easier for me to be able to respond to so many of you. You might notice that I'm not actually responding to as many comments today. It's because I don't know where to look. I'm going to try and read some of your comments down here. Top Death Angel saying, Sam, seeing INEOS works shows how much positivity it's great to see coming out of the club. Well, it's been a while, isn't it? Let's be honest. Any update for the new segment on the youth team? I'm going to be working on that later today. Again, I had all my interviews, how I conducted interviews before. Everything was set up perfectly. I have to set it all up again completely differently. Make sure the audio's fine, the video's fine, the link is here, that is there, switching scenes, this, that. I had to redecorate the whole house for interviews again. So that took me a couple of hours yesterday. There's just a lot going on right now. And actually, I'll say something now quickly. I may as well, actually. I was going to mention it a little bit later in the week, but I'll do it now. Next Tuesday, I am having surgery. Next Tuesday, I'm having some pretty big surgery, and it's going to wipe me out for a little while. It's nothing, but it is major. There's nothing you'll be able to see down. It's down to do with my ankle. I'm considering doing a video which might explain to you why I'm having that surgery. I'm undecided on that just yet, but I'm having that surgery next Tuesday. So next Monday will be the last live show that we do for a little while. Certainly for that whole week. I don't know how long it's going to take me to recover from it. But so we've got. That's why I'm trying to work so relentlessly to get everything set up before I go and do that surgery. So that's why I want to get everything done. Yeah. So I think I might do a video explaining it. I haven't quite decided yet. But, yeah, I'm doing that next Tuesday. So, 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 yeah, I'm doing that That's probably why I'm so laser focused on getting all of this ready and done, because I won't be able to do much for a while after that happens. Anyway, let's move on and talk about Kobbie Mainoo. Anthony, seriously, you put a comment there saying, what are the odds? What are the odds that the ratification is announced after Tuesday? I'm sitting here thinking, please announce it before, because it would piss me off so much. I've already had these thoughts in my head. It would annoy me so much if like it gets announced on Tuesday morning, and then Ratcliffe has an interview, and all this information that we've been waiting for so long. If all that happens just after I have surgery, I honestly kind of half think it will be. Martinez out now, Sam. Yeah, I've done my MCL. Be out for a couple of months. Well, I won't be out for a couple of months. But look, thanks all for the comments down there. And I might do that video. If I do, I'll drop it on the Tuesday, which is when I'm going in for surgery. Rofi, you postpone your surgery. Well, I'll tell you something else. I was supposed to have this surgery back in November. What happened 4 days before? I got COVID. For, I don't know, it must be like the 5th time. I think I've had every single shade of COVID. Every single shade. So because of that, my surgery got cancelled in November, and I've been waiting for a reschedule, and this is the reschedule. Live stream mid-surgery. Hell no. I don't want to be awake for that. Hell no. Let's move on to have a quick conversation here about, 42 minutes into the show. I still want to talk about Kobbie, about the little bit about the Villa game, and you can, as always, get involved in the comments. Now, Eric Ten Hag's been speaking about Kobbie here, and let's go full screen so you can see that. He said, right now, he is progressing from match to match, and that's what talents are. They rise to the challenge every time and quickly reach higher levels. That's what he done, and we are very happy to see him play football. And that's kind of what's happening with Kobbie, isn't it? It's not that the goalposts are being moved. It's about, okay, you've achieved this. What's next? Okay, you've achieved this. What's next? And it just keeps improving. And then, okay, well, wait till you score your first goal. All right, you've done that. Okay. Well, wait till you've won the Player of the Month. Oh, okay, well, you've done that as well. Wait until you scored your first Premier League goal. Oh, wow. I mean, that's not a bad first goal. That has been Kobbie Mainoo's season so far, now that he's finally broken through. And there's something that Rio said yesterday, which I think a lot of people will get annoyed about. And I don't think that's fair, really. So Rio Ferdinand here is saying that, look, he thinks that Kobbie Mainoo, the way that he watches him play, that he plays like Seedorf, right? And maybe this is me being a hypocrite here. Rio Ferdinand is not saying that Kobbie Mainoo is the next Seedorf. He's not comparing Kobbie Mainoo to Seedorf. But in terms of how somebody, it's more physically the eye test of like how a player moves the ball around, his stride. That's more what he's going for here. And I think that's fair. I think when in that context, to use a player who's already been and done, well, not been and done, but a player who everybody knows, it's not a comparison to say, well, he's going to reach the levels of Clarence Seedorf, who of course was an incredible player. He's more talking about the style, his touch, his poise, his body position, how he receives the ball. And I think that's where it kind of makes sense. And I understand the Clarence Seedorf comparisons. Not comparisons, but yeah, similar style. I think that's where that's where it makes sense. It's not to say this player is the next X and he's therefore going to be following that trajectory and therefore should be expected to reach those levels. And if he doesn't reach those levels, then he's all gone wrong. But I love Kobbie Mainoo. Really do. Garlic bread man. Sam is injury prone. Pass it on. Samtony Martial. Just can't trust me. Never here. Never available. Poor availability I've got. What are you saying down here? Paul is saying it seems like he knows where he's going to put the ball before he receives it. Yeah, man. Love that. It's true. That's what Scholes and Carrick did so well. They already knew what the next two passes were before they received the pass. Live show from the hospital. Even if I had an OnlyFans, no way I'm doing that. And I don't have an OnlyFans. Only Sam's? Be a bit boring. I wouldn't pay for that. I want to speak a little bit here about Alejandro Garnacho as well today. Because his numbers from that right wing, that's going to be the short video that goes out. If you all enjoy using TikTok, using Instagram, there'll be a short video going out today on Garnacho's development. And also my lunchtime video today is going to be on Garnacho's development this season. Even before he moved to the right wing, he was developing. He was starting to track back as a winger. His positional play was a lot more disciplined. His link-up play was better. It wasn't all... Because Garnacho, of course, when you make that change from being the best player in a youth team to being a very good player in a senior first team, it's a different mindset. Everything that you were used to in the youth team now doesn't apply. You can't just be like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, I'll do the rest. I mean, you can do if it works, but when it doesn't work, that's not development. You need to be better with your decision-making. And decision-making has massively improved. But since he's gone to that right wing, it feels like Garnacho's found his position. That's the way I've looked at it. Because not only does he have the goal threat, but just defenders can't accurately say which side he's going to be going, left or right. He can drift to both. And that's, I think, what is making him so much more dangerous. Easily the best right winger we've got at the club. Who'd have thunk it? Go down here and read some of your questions out. Stephen, come on, mate. Not asked if people are comparing him to Seedorf, but if you mention someone in the same breath, of course you are comparing him. You're not at all. There can be nuance to this, Stephen, which you're completely dismissing there. You can say that I can understand the playing style. He carries himself on the football pitch like this footballer did. It doesn't mean he's going to be as great as him or going to do everything that he did or going to be the next version of that player. But in terms of the playing style, the natural ways that he touches the ball and has the ball at his feet, you can have those because that does help individuals understand what sort of player Kobbie Mainoo is. I think so anyway. But you know what I want to say about Garnacho, which is the truth, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. Does anybody else get the feeling that Garnacho to Real Madrid is an inevitability? Probably. If I'm optimistic, Manchester United over the next 5 years absolutely nail it. And he loves it. I still think he's going to be going to Real Madrid, probably like 24, 25. And I think that's pretty much as much as we can sort of hope for. That's what it feels like. But I'm loving watching Garnacho. I really, really am. Man, Stephen, I can't have a personal conversation with you about. I've moved on from that, dude. All right, I can't keep coming back and having personal conversations. There's so many comments coming in. This chat's really annoying. Not the people in the chat is annoying me. Just the way that this is visually is very, very frustrating. It's nothing like it was before, and it's making it very difficult for me to be able to pick out comments. I need to get this sorted. I'm going to work on this after the live show is finished. Mark, you're saying Garnacho is so much better than Anthony on the right wing. What a waste of money. Hey, look. Hands up in the air. Anthony was a waste of money. For sure, he was. I hope that I genuinely think Anthony's output in that first season was decent enough. I think he got, was it 8 goals? I don't think he was influencing games as much as we wanted to, but I think his overall output was actually there. And this season, with everything that went on, he's been a hindrance to the team. Richard, Garnacho, we signed him from Atletico Madrid. That's what I mean about the links. I just see him going back there at some point in the future. But that's for a conversation for a few years down the line. Anthony hasn't progressed from last season. Last season, I think he did enough, and not enough. When you sign an 80 million player, you expect the finished article. But we all knew that we paid at least twice as much. At least twice as much as we should. This season, he's not progressed. He's just not progressed. And I think we should be sending him in the summer. And when we get a proper head of recruitment in, those decisions need to get taken away from, well, they can't get completely taken away from Erik ten Hag or the manager. But he has to basically be told, like, this didn't work. We need to, as a football club, to be sustainable in the transfer market over the next few years. We are going to have to sell players as well. You might not like it, but this has not worked. We need to recoup some of this money. That has to happen. Little side point here. It was a bit random. Port Vale have just sacked their manager. And that's a few days after Maxi Oyedele. He went on loan to Forest Green just before they sacked Troy Deeney. So that's 2 loans that we completed towards the end of the January transfer window. And both of their managers have now left. I'm like, you remember when the Dan Gore transfer happened, the Man United said that they'd done a ton of research. This was a perfect club for him to be at. And then like a week or 2 later, they've sacked their managers. I mean, let's be honest, right? Troy Deeney getting sacked from Forest Green Rovers. Anybody that you would have got even odds on that. Everybody would have predicted that. Port Vale one, I didn't really understand about, but if you've done any research, then maybe you would have understood. It's just, I don't know whether United did any research at all, to be completely honest. Last couple of points here to wrap up the show. I want to speak about this. A little video I did yesterday, and it was Erik ten Hag has had, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it, sustained criticism. He has been pushed from pillar to post about being abysmal, being crap, and he has made a ton of self-inflicted mistakes. However, what he has continued to say consistently is, wait until our injuries are better. Injuries are impacting us. Much the same way that they impacted and have completely derailed Newcastle season. Spurs were until a point, but they've recovered well. And Man United finally, for the first time since November, have won 2 games in a row in the Premier League. Against Wolves, we blew them away in that first half. The only reason that we weren't like 4-5 up had sweet FA to do with Erik ten Hag. That was just down to finishing. If Man United had that clinical edge against Wolves, boy, we would not have needed Mainoo to score a 97th minute winner. And the game would have been dead and buried. That third goal was the one that, I keep saying this, third goal was the one that changes the game. That's the one where you can start taking players off, where the other team thinks, wow, we're screwed. We can't get back in this game. And that's the third goal that made all the difference against West Ham. But the thing that Erik ten Hag has never managed to do at Manchester United is consistency. Can I say, by the way, I've got a massive... I did a video yesterday and I went down to the comments like, Sam, we did lose to Everton. Whoops. I was running through all the results. And I said that we lost to Everton. That was a game where, Garnacho scored a pretty good goal. We won 3-0. Whoops. But Erik ten Hag has got to find that consistency, and that's why we got Villa coming up next. There's a comment down there. It's a comment I actually agree with. So, Aston Villa on paper, right, they're 8 points ahead of us? We beat Aston Villa at Old Trafford coming from behind. And it was a great win. Rasmus Højlund with that goal. It was a proper, if you can't turn a season around, you can't build momentum on this, then you never can. Now, Villa at home are a different beast. Ezri Konsa, he's going to be missing. That is a big miss for them. Villa are going to play with the highest line in the entire league. I think. I mean, I don't know if that's a fact, but certainly one of. All right? Certainly one of the highest lines in the league. Man United will get space in behind. That game against Villa will not be a game like West Ham. Slow, measured, calm, pick them apart. It's going to be a bit of full tilt football because of how aggressive Villa are with their line and how high up the pitch they will press the ball. That's going to be a game where we're going to, and again, with Martinez being missing, because that's the reason why Martinez, right, is such a big miss for United. I haven't got the stats to hand, but I'd love to know against Aston Villa against West Ham up until the 70th minute when Martinez went off, which player had the ball at his feet for the longest in the game? Because I'd be very surprised if that wasn't Lisandro Martinez. Every time that we had the ball in our own half, every player looked to Martinez. Give Martinez the ball. Where's Martinez? Where's this? Give him the ball. Pass it back to him. Okay, it was Martinez who had the ball at his feet, put his foot on it, looked left, looked right. He controlled the tempo of the game from a left centre-back position. And that is why we really struggle to replace him so much. Because no matter who you put there, even if you put Luke Shaw there, Luke Shaw is probably the best alternative, but then they haven't got a proper left back because Malacia is not fit. But this Villa game, I'm not going to do my preview until Friday, okay? But Ezri Konsa missing, I suppose that's a little bit like us missing Martinez. And they are going to play such a high line that if Bruno receives the ball in the right positions, those balls in behind, we're going to have a lot of fun. But look, I apologise if I'm getting frustrated here today about this chat. It's the only real thing that's kind of not perfect yet. And I don't know how to fix it. I'm going to have to come with some workarounds because there isn't an obvious way to fix it here. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I always do. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in, as always. Big up to all of you. Thank you for supporting. Who sent in Super Chat? I can't actually see now who sent in the gifted memberships. I think Teresa sent 10 in. I think Fizz did. I think Ricky, you sent in 5 as well. I need to move that gong somewhere, a different position on the screen so it doesn't get in the way of my face. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be here tomorrow morning. My lunchtime video today. Giggity, I will get there. 100% I'll get there. It's just, yeah. As I've explained now, I've got the surgery coming up, and I know I've got a very tight deadline, and it has been a relentless, and I mean this, like a relentless few weeks of work. And nobody can question my work ethic. Big up to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be here tomorrow, as always.